Hello, all. Well, this is not really an unboxing in the sense because I already unboxed everything. Yesterday, I shot one, and at the end, I had something happen, so I started cursing and flipping out on my kids and stuff because my mother-in-law was upstairs, and as usual, she didn't do what she's supposed to do because she gets self-absorbed in herself. Uh, every 3:30, she's supposed to. Since I hear the only thing she does when she's here is supposed to get the kid off the bus for me, and of course lo and behold, my phone rings and it's the bus driver. And I have to, after doing wash, I have to run all the way up and run out to get the kid. So, I mean, how hard it is just to go outside and just be on the front porch when the kid gets off the bus. But she can't even do that. So, here's what I got yesterday in the mail. I'll start off with the movies. Uh, and I'll show you what I picked up. Yes, I finished off the Looney Tunes Golden Collection. I got Volume 6, which is this is a newer version because it's in a plastic case, not a box. But I don't care. I have all 6 volumes now, so it's complete. Uh, I got Catwoman Hunted. I really, it was okay. I ranked this a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Uh, I got today Ghostbusters Afterlife. I just uploaded the digital code into my Voodoo so I can watch it anywhere. Uh, Yesterday in the mail too, I got the booklet for Bermuda Triangle, and there's a story behind why I ordered this, and also there's a why I got all this stuff in the mail because as you know in the last video I said I wasn't going to order anything because the wife was told at the beginning of the month that she was losing her job. Well, my wife went into overdrive because come next year this time I won't be my workman's comp will be expired. Um, and we won't have medical benefits or anything like that. I'll have to apply for disability retirement, which is funny because they wanted to force me into disability retirement this year, but they wanted me to resign, and I was like, I'm not signing a resignation paper because resigning means I quit, and I'm not quitting. I'm going into disability retirement, which means I'm not quitting. I'm technically my status is changing from being disabled to being retired disabled, and I didn't want to sign the paper, which I don't understand how, you know, 15 years ago when I hurt my back, they offered me 80 grand, take a settlement. And I didn't take it because I was like, just the one operation alone on my back was $250,000. And I was like, I'll be on the hook for the rest of my life for every back operation, 20%. And since then, I had 4 or 5 operations. And that 80 grand would have been gone, and I probably would have had to mortgage my house, and I probably wouldn't have to sell my entire comic book collection and everything else I had because I've had, like I said, 4 or 5 more operations, and I would have been on the hook for 20% of that. So I didn't take it then, and then last year they were offering me 60 grand, and I was like, but they wanted me to resign, and I was like, nope, 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 nope. But we'll guarantee that you'll get your disability retirement. Well, I was like, yeah, but the disability retirement is half of what I'm making now a month, and the medical benefits that I get are half of what my family has now. So, but no, I didn't take it. I just figured let it right out. I'll take the disability retirement next year or the year after, because they have to pay me this year and next year. So I'm like, okay, fine. Well, not all next year, but some of next year. I'm not even sure if it expires next year. It might expire 2024. It has to be. I have to figure out how many more it is, but I'm like, whatever, just write it out. Because I just got fed up because they harass the hell out of me every year with filling out paperwork, going to their so-called doctors, and I go to my doctors, and it's fight. For 15 years, I've been fighting. It's not fun. But I had that. The wife ended up finding another job, which she's happy because for the last 4 years with this company she worked for, she's full time. She works 40 hours a week. She gets no pay. She gets no paid sick time, no paid vacation time, no bereavement, no medical benefits. But she works 40 hours a week. In fact, she's working now 80 hours this week, and she better get time and a half for everything over 40 hours, or I'm gonna be really pissed off. And I found out the guy for this run, he gets paid from he gets paid from the company for this bus charter to run this charter a year. He gets $150,000 from this company to run the shuttle for the 2 shifts that this is, and and I figured it out. But just for the employees alone, with the time they have, he doesn't even pay him 60 grand a year, so he's clearing 90. And I'm sure gas and that he's making buku money even after uptake, because everything's a tax write-off for him. So he's making buku money on the deal. And I even said to my wife, I said, you should wait to see what the new company has. She just says, I don't trust this new guy that's taking over because he seems like a snake. And I'm like, well, go with your instinct. So she did, and she's just applied for a whole bunch of jobs. And lo and behold, a state-funded company that runs elderly around called her up. And she got a job with them. And she's getting the same pay an hour. She'll get vacation time, sick time. The only bad thing about it is the family medical. And I was like, wow. It ain't bad for single medical. She only pays $20 a week for her. But for family medical, she already scheduled herself for when she starts next month. She'll only miss a week of work. But the second week of March, when she starts, she'll make that medical. It'll come right out of her check, $20. She won't put the family on until mine expires. But I mean, it's crazy because she goes from paying $20 a week to $160 a week, and I was like, wow, because that's actually like triple what I pay for the family through the state. And but that's why I'm good for a year at least with my income. So I'm like, okay. But there's this thing. Now I bought the Bermuda Triangle book. Now, a guy on the Atari collectors page on Facebook had a bunch of them in. He had 3 manuals up I needed. So I sent him a message. And I need a Bermuda Triangle, Cosmic Creeps, and another game. And I sent him a message saying I needed 3. And I figured $18. Because this was the most expensive out of the 3. Well, because I got the price, the price charting, and I learned just what the book, just what it said, what the manuals were worth. I just learned what the booklets are worth, the instructions, and I wrote them all down. I'm like, okay, I learned exactly what the manuals were worth. I'm thinking it said, okay, $18, and I figured if I gave him full book for it, I figured he'd pay the shipping, $18, voila. Well, lo and behold, he wanted $40 for 3, almost $40 for the 3 manuals. And I was like, nope, not even, Then I was like, nope, I'm going to pass. I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, I could actually went on eBay and bought 2 of the games, the game and the manual, cheaper, and still had like $7 or $8 left over. And I'm sure I could have got the manual, but I got this manual for $6. $6 or $7. So I got 1 of the 3. And then after a day or two, he sends me a message saying he knocked it down towards $20-some. I'm like, well, already too late. I already bought 1 of them, and I only paid $6, and it was the most expensive one out of the 3. And I'm damned if I'm going to give you, that price now when I only need 2 of them, and it's not the most expensive one's not even in the ballpark now. Now another thing came, which upsets me because the record cover, I have to put tape on the 2 up here. I had this record. My daughter took it. This was my mom and my dad's record. I had to replace it. My daughter let her cat got pissed off at her and went in her room and decided to chew it up. And she chewed right through the paper, and she actually chewed the record to where the record skips. So had to replace it. So a guy in Philadelphia had the record, and I ordered this a month ago. And the guy wrote me a nice letter saying, listen, I said, I know you mailed it. It said shipped. I guess whoever runs the Philadelphia post office is being a douchebag, and has been terrible because it seems like stuff's been just stacking up there. And he's blaming COVID, just that he's not properly applying to people or whatever. But there's a massive buildup at the Philadelphia post office because it took over a month for me to get that record. And he's been complaining about it, and I don't blame him because Philadelphia is a 2-hour drive for me, and take that to a month to get to my house. Uh, Before this pandemic, stuff from Philadelphia would take not even 2 days to get to my house. So there's that. Now I went over. Also, I did get some more Atari games, but my mother-in-law is on a puzzle kick, so I just said, okay. She's been going through all my old puzzles and building them, so I decided, okay, let's get some puzzles. So I went to Walmart and I bought a 1,000-piece Marvel puzzle, Iron Man, and then I ordered. I also bought at Walmart Thomas Kincaid Justice League. This is Cheetah, Wonder Woman, Supergirl, Livewire, Batgirl, Catwoman, Harley Quinn, Huntress. And then I got Justice League. This is Aquaman, Black Manta, Superman, Batman. Then you have Superman Doomsday over Metropolis, but there's Lex Luthor on the Daily Planet. And I have the poster for this, but some people on Amazon wanted $20-some for this, and I ordered this off of eBay for $14 from Aquarius. So I got five comic puzzles, and I started pulling out. I cleaned off my drafting table down here because my dad called up and he wanted to know if I had my great grandfather's family album picture. I had my dad had that he got from my great uncle Pat. It was a family album of the Carnivales of the 13 kids. My great grandfather and all his sons and daughters. And out of all of them, there's only 2 left. My Uncle Pat, who is 95, and my aunt, I don't know if it's Aunt Loretta or Aunt Katie is still alive, because I don't ever see them. I know I saw my Uncle Pat when I went down to Florida. I stopped at his house on the way back, stopped in Georgia, because that's where he lived. He used to live in Elmhurst up in Pennsylvania, but then he moved to Georgia. He was in the Navy during World War II. He actually had 2 boats. He had one boat sink and the other one took 2 torpedoes. He was in Guadalcanal. I don't know the names of the boats. I have to find out. For years, he never talked about it. Now that he's up in age and he's been talking about it, he was telling my dad stories. And it was funny because my dad actually gave me pictures of my aunt's wedding, and my dad thought it was hilarious. Well, he was actually sort of impressed that I was able to name my grandmother's side of the family, my dad's mother's side. And I said, why wouldn't I? I was still, my Grandpa Pace died when I was 2 or 3, and my Uncle Tom and them died when I was 6. So I remembered them. And my dad thought it was, that it was funny that I remembered them at those ages. Because I actually remember stuff, vague glimpses of when I was 2 years old. And my dad's amazed about that. In fact, there's a story that my dad had friends over. My mom and dad, their friends came down. And I said to him one day, I said, Dad, did you ever have a white car with red interior? And my dad's like, no. And my dad's friend Tony was like, yes, you did, Joe. My dad's like, no, he didn't. He goes, I sold you the car, Joe. And my dad's like, yeah, but... And Tony was like amazed. He goes, we only had that car not even a year. He goes, you were 2 when we owned that car. And I said, I just had this memory of you, seatbelting me in the back of it. And they just thought it was... And I remember my grandfather, who died when I was 2, taking me to a bar 3 doors down from my mom and dad's house. And I look at pictures that my dad had that I own now. My dad gave me all the pictures of the house that we used to live in, of how my house that I grew up in Old Forge, how it changed over the decades from the 1930s to today. Uh, and it still is, because my brother, the house changed so much back when my grandparents owned the house. When they bought it, or should I say rented it, then bought it, it did not have the amount of rooms. In fact, there's only 2 bedrooms in the house, and it was one of those houses where you only had you had 2 living rooms. The kitchen was in the basement with a coal stove. Uh, there was no access to the attic. The attic was a trap door that you had to go in through a closet. Uh, Over the years, that all changed. My dad added a kitchen to it, and a cellar added to the back, and like a driveway, garage, and all that stuff over the years has changed. And then my brother, now there is no front room, middle room, kitchen. Uh, the front and middle rooms now are it's just all one room. He opened it all up. I look at all that stuff. I look at how things have changed from when I was a kid to that house, and it's like, wow. You know, they say a lot of change. Sometimes change is good, and I'm like, sometimes a lot of change is not good. I would actually take a lot of stuff how things were 20 years ago than how our things are today. But that's me. All this stuff you see on television, smashing down statues and that, they should not. They should keep statues up. They should keep everything up, because as reminders, people who do not learn from the past are doomed to repeat it. And a lot of stuff is just the truth. This stuff about the Holocaust never happened, this never happened, this, or the fact that I always say about how they say about reparations for racism and all this stuff. I'm like, wait a minute. Racism is not only about black and white. It's about black and Mexican against Puerto Rican. I mean, it's not a simple thing. It's bilingual by color. It's by, I mean, hate. It's broad spectrum. No matter what you do, you have hatred based on sexual orientation, hate, monetary affiliation, sports affiliation. Geez, you can sit there. I can go on forever doing all this stuff. Hell, there's hatred based on, hey, I like DC, I like Marvel. I'm an Atari fan. I like, this whole segregation thing about, hey, I got to keep everything, this divisionalism. I liked the 70s where, hey, one language. You come to America, you learn English. And it's like, it's thinking like, well, wait a minute. I grew up family-wise. My dad was Italian. My mother was Russian. They all learned English. My dad doesn't speak Italian, because his father, they learned English when they came to this country. My grandfather spoke Italian. My dad, he knew, he could understand some of it, but no. My mom, same thing. They learned English. Now here I am, English. That's how it should be. You should come to your country unless your parents want to keep you as your nationality. Fine. But as you come to a country, you should learn those customs of the country. Technically, yeah, okay, we appropriated the land from the American Indians. Should we learn, the dialect of the American Indian? There'll be people who argue that point. But, I'm not, we came way beyond the people that did this to the American Indians. And we should not be responsible for what they did to the Indians. If that's the case, then what about who owned the land in Europe? Who owned the land in Africa first? You can sit there and go back in history and constantly keep doing that. People would say about, black and white hatred. Watch the movie Hotel Rwanda. That's black on black hate. Just based on religion, Sunni, whatever the hell you want to call it. Hate's inherent. No matter what you do or what color, what... Best episode to watch in Star Trek is the one where the Enterprise meets the race of black/white people, and they're identical. No, he's black on the right side of his face, and he's black on the left side of his face. Right there sums up the whole point of an argument on that in a nutshell. Hate's inherent, and you can't tell me it's not. it's the fruit of the poison apple. If you're religious, because it's got to be. We're not allowed the Garden of Eden. If you're a religious person, we can't have heaven on earth. We can't. We ruined that a long time ago. If you're religious, what we have to do is strive to be better, so that we earn that back. That's why I'm always saying to my wife, I go, I suffer physically, mentally, with all the stuff I put up, like constantly fighting, workman's comp, in pain with pain radiating in my feet. I can't do a lot of the stuff I enjoy. And if I do go, I have to suffer for days upon days afterwards. And then I have to listen to people saying, well, you must be rich, because people don't understand. I've been collecting since I was 15 years old. Why should I stop collecting stuff because, it's one of these things. And people think, I don't agree with some of the prices on the stuff that's out here now. I mean, I still don't think Amazing Fan, all these 60s books should be worth the prices they are. Because I used to go to comic book conventions, and I know there's tons of them out there. And I don't believe a lot of this new stuff should be worth the way it is. Because everybody who buys stuff now takes it, puts it in plastic bags and boards, and it gets put in a box. Same thing with all the toys that they buy. How many people out there, honest to God, how many people out there buy a toy, open it up, and play with it anymore? How many? Very few. Basically, everybody's a collector. Very few kids buy toys and play with them. Like Keegan, okay, here's the example. My boy Keegan, very, very, very plays with hardly anything. Here's one of the few things he plays with. Some Matchbox Mario cars. Basically, what my grandson plays with now is he has some Jurassic Park figures he plays with. And as usual, there are ones of those that are hard to find. And I don't bother trying to go nuts, trying to find them for him, because I'm not making some guy rich unless there's one that he really, really, really wants. And the sad thing about it, they re-release it. I mean, there's already like 3 different mosasaurs out. I mean, they re-release the same dinosaur eventually down with a little bit difference of it. So he only wants the dinosaur. He doesn't really care, what it is. Because he's got like 2 or 3 different Carnotauruses, and each one's different. One has a bite action. One has, you open it up and he roars. One, so I'm like, okay. And there's also different types of Triceratops, or whatever you want to call them. I let it go. But he phases out. And one of the other things that bothers me is he likes to go through my stuff. And, well, I just came down here this week and I have to replace, again, I'm constantly replacing stuff for the Wii. Guitar Hero stuff. I have to find another beveled door for the back of one of the guitars. This will be the 4th time I've replaced it, and the last time I replaced it cost me $30. And I've been saying, use the Les Paul one. The Les Paul ones are cheap. I can find them for $10. It's the beveled ones that are expensive to get. And I wish somebody would be smart and make a replacement for that. They'd probably make a killing on eBay selling replacement parts for the beveled one. Because they make a replacement generic one for the Les Paul, and they're always on eBay. Boom, you can buy them like mad. But nobody wants to use I have one Les Paul controller, and I have all the other. I have like 3 of the beveled, the sunburst ones. Because nobody wants the white Les Paul one. I'm like, the sad thing, I don't care what one I play, because I hardly play Guitar Hero or Rock Band. If I do play, I play the Lego one, because I think that's the most fun one I play. At least when I play it. He likes to take the Lego, the guns for the Cabela's for the Wii, and play with them. I went and I had the one gun. Found out he broke it, so looking at it, it's going to cost me $30 some to replace that. I'm like, and the sad thing is, nobody tells me they do this stuff. So lo and behold, I find this stuff, and then I got to go looking for it afterwards. And I say, who did it? Oh, we did. So I'm like, I guess I have the ghost. A ghost did it. Oh, and another thing I picked up, movie-wise, I forgot. When I went to get my wife's car's oil changed at Walmart, and let Anthony change it. That's where Anthony works, doing oil changes. I had some time. I go shopping when it gets done. So I got Quantum Leap, the complete series, for $10. So yeah, I see Dean Stockton. He passed away, so it's like I get, as I'm getting older, I'm getting more and more sentimental, and it's like seeing how somebody posted about the 1970s, was it Golden Globes or something, the television awards, the Emmys or whatever it was, and I was like, wow, that's when TV, it's like, at least then back then you can go up to a person to give you an autograph. It was like, that's when the stars were stars. They talked, that they treated. No matter who you go up to nowadays, it's, hey, talk to my handler. You have to be charged, you get paid. I don't know anybody will give me an autograph or nothing. Every time I see these shows, it's like, now I see on Facebook, what's it, Peter Weller, $55 to sign. I'm like, I'm done. I can't keep up with this stuff. It's like more and more, they want more and more money. I'm like, well, hey, guess what? I've been stuck at $10.38 now for 15 years. My wife works she worked 3 jobs now for the last, 10 years. She's down at 2, and that's how it's going to be. And then I told her, I said, just let it go. And she thought it was great that she made $15 an hour, and everybody's like, screaming at, we have to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Well, if she makes $15 an hour, they raise the minimum wage to 50. She'll be making minimum wage. Now, and two, when I worked as a corrections officer, the most I made an hour on second shift was $14.83, and I had a job where I could have been killed. Hell, the inmates, some of them had diseases, and you're looking at, that's right there's hazard. That's why I'm like, doctors, nurses, police officers, where's their hazard pay? People in Hollywood, rock stars, they get millions upon millions of dollars, but hey, is their life, threatened on the job? No. That's one of the things I just don't agree with. It's like, they make millions of dollars, but hey, what about, the people's that lives are every day, who do it and just think they don't bitch about it. It's like, that's my job. I do it because I have to do it. Just crazy. We live in some, and then it's like, blue lives don't matter. Like, every life matters. Just that, whose life is it that matters? I don't believe that a criminal's life should be put above anybody else's life. Especially if the guy, I look at, this stuff. Like, a guy's going to reach for a knife in his car and a cop shoots him. And then they're making him to be a martyr. Well, what happens if he got the knife and he used it on the cop? Or what happens if it was a gun? This Kyle Rittenhouse, I just sit back and I look at everything. And this whole crap about Trump, and people just hate Trump supporters. I voted for Trump the first time around because he wasn't a politician. The guy was a freaking asshat. I thought he would have done better if he just shut up and quit tweeting and just admitted he did his mistakes. There's some good he did, but a lot of stuff, but he had a guy here 47 years who was a politician. He reelected him. Gas is almost $4 a gallon. He don't give a crap about 80% of the people he freaking, is supposed to be representing. And just like this whole vaccine thing, I ended up having to get the vaccine because the state gave me no choice. They said, you get it or you're fired. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Does this vaccine cure COVID? No. It's not the polio vaccine. Doesn't stop you from getting polio. This doesn't stop you from getting COVID. The polio vaccine did. That's what I want to hear if I'm going to get a vaccine for something. Just like the flu shot. Does the flu shot help you get the flu shot? No, it just stops. I don't get the flu shot every year. Because every year normally when I get the flu shot, I get the flu. And I'm like, well, it's funny because when I don't get the flu shot, I never get the flu. It's funny. It's the years I get the flu shot, I get the flu. In one stage or another. Knock on wood somewhere. And pretty much every year I get, what is it? Bronchitis. That's usually what I get. Upper respiratory, where I just hack. I don't really want to go anywhere. I just want to stay home. The only time I go anywhere is if I'm low on milk. Milk, juice, that's it. I'll go get it, come back home. That's it. I don't want to. The wife gives me a list of what I got to get. Fine. Go get it, come back home. I'll stay home. I don't believe anybody should be forced to get anything they don't want to get. But you get these people that like to force their will on other people. That's another thing, Like, yeah. My dad said it best. You're never going to please everybody. That's a no-win scenario. You get that with everything. Comics, cards, toys. I just keep saying, keep raising the prices of cards, comics, and toys. You price yourselves right out of business. And I can see it happening. I know every so often I see my viewers, I see the subscribers go. I don't really care, to tell you the truth, because I didn't really start this channel for subscribers, because if I did, I'd be upset because I haven't really been getting a lot of subscribers. But I get the guys that have been watching me for years, and some of it's like a running joke. They agree with me on a lot of things, and I appreciate them. I know Collector Stuff wants to see the attic. Well, the attic hasn't really changed. It's that from buying my collections, the stuff's been sitting there. I actually have to get bags and boards for Silver Age stuff because they have been stacked up, and I have to go up there when it gets a little warmer and organize again, because I probably have 3 long boxes of books that got to get put away in order, and I probably have to make labels, dividers again for them, and that's the biggest pain. It keeps. I don't want more titles, but when you buy stuff, and like you go and you get books off of somebody, and it's like, buy my collection, and the lady goes, well, what do you want for these? And it's like, she gives me a thing, and it's like that lady who I went last year, being year, and she had quarter books or whatever, and I ended up getting 300 and some books. Spent like a couple $100, and came back with 2 long boxes of books, and I ended up paying all these titles that I never even had any issues for, and it's like, oh my god, I gotta add these. I have to get my label makers will be, I'll be needing tape again for them. And the wife goes, when are you ever going to decide what you're going to do? And Lex says, well, I keep saying, well, it's up to Lex. It's up to the kids. And you get Keegan, well, I don't want Pop selling the collection. And he's funny because, and Lexi's like, well, I'm just going to keep everything. And I'm like, yeah, are you? And she's like, yeah, because she goes, I don't want to deal with it selling it. And I'm like, okay. So all this stuff will just sit here like in a massive time capsule. My house will be a massive time capsule sitting that probably won't see the light of day probably for about 100 years then, because Keegan's gonna be 6, Lexi will be 16 on Friday, and neither one of them really want to deal with this collection. They just want to just like let it go. And I plan to live to. I keep saying I'm going to live to be 300 years old. Nah, but I'll be dead before then because stressed out with these people. It's like, yeah. Because like I said, I say one thing and they do the other. But here, you want to see what's been going on down here with the basement? I'll just give you a flash. I had to go through all these trying to find my dad's picture. I had to restack all these. This is all stuff that's eventually got to be put away. These movies that I bought, they have to be put away in there with the movies. All those boxes that are here and the back stuff there, that's all extra Wii, PS2, PS3, PS4 games, and Xbox One games that have got to be built shelves for. I called Stanley, my fiasco building a shelf. I did clear that off. I did put shelves up to put my Army Painter stuff on. I walk around over here. This is stuff that's got to go out to the garage that's going to get put away. All the Hot Wheel cars are boxed up. I started boxing up. These are actually statues that are boxed up. Those are board games that I boxed up already that I'm not going to play, that are going to go in the attic. Then I started going through all the board games. And I'm going to put ones that I'm not going to play, that I know I'm definitely not going to play, away, and keep certain games out. But I'm taking pictures of everything, and just so I know what I have, I'm putting it on my Facebook page under board games so I know what board games I have. Because like you see there, I have 3 different versions of Pictionary. Well, one's a first edition, and one's just normal, and then there's a second edition Pictionary. Yeah, I have different versions of so many different games, it's like ridiculous. But I can finally get at my one. I should actually take all my Star Trek starships out and box them up too. And keep all of them in one box. Because they're finally sending me some of the issues that I'm missing. Let's see, I never noticed my, it's off the thing there. I gotta get all this taken care of. All my glasses put away. But I went through all that's down there are all totes filled with photos. Family photos going back to my great-grandparents. I have to go through all them, scan them in. And the sad thing is, I was supposed to do them years ago. Just that I got too much stuff, not enough time. Because I got all that stuff up there that's got to get taken down, rearranged. It's crazy. I just don't have enough time in the day. Because not only do I have this basement to still finish, keep doing work in, I have the pantry I got work to do in. Because the wife just kept getting more and more stuff for cooking, like pots and pans. And it's like, okay, why do we need this? Well, I want it. I'm like, I don't argue with my, they say happy wife, happy life. So I'm like, okay, fine. I let it go. I cleaned the table off here for 2 reasons. Reason 1, Anthony came over and we were painting because he got Hero Quest. So, see, that's the problem. I was sitting on the floor. Now I got pain going in my left foot. And it's not fun. Oh, does it hurt? But the video is 40 minutes long. I should end it. Go upstairs, play some Fortnite. And I'm working on getting Keegan because I only need 12 more levels for myself, and I'll get the gold Spider-Man. I'll be finished with the stupid Spider-Man crap up there. But yeah, this basement, I'm trying to get stuff done down here. I'm thinking about putting more racks up and going the rafters this way just so I can put more of probably boxing up the Atari and television games going that way, like gapped, um, and just using the rafters as space storage for like the dance pads and the Skylander bags and stuff like that. Just to just use the space because I think I'm just trying to figure out what's the best, space, just enough to for storage wise. Because the only way I'll get more space is if I build onto the house, and I can't afford doing that yet. All you know about me and my dad's macabre thing going on. He'll be here Saturday, and of course that's what we'll talk about. That and the fact that we'll watch probably episodes of Combat and maybe the Rat Patrol since I got that. He likes war shows, and even though I bought the Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, we'll probably watch that. Even though he probably seen it a million times, that's still one of my favorite westerns. My all-time favorite westerns is The Searchers. I love Moe's, so. But yeah, I constantly harp on the same stuff when I shoot my videos. I just get tired of seeing the same stuff posted on my Facebook page over and over and over again. Sometimes I wish I could unplug life. I love to go back to where life was simpler. Like when I was a kid and everybody thought everybody loved each other and everybody got along and everything was great. Now I want to cry. Yeah, because it's like that song, things, But I thank all you guys that are out there for viewing and subscribing. I'll leave you at that. King Joe out.